In 1996, President Clinton was running for his second term in office against Bob Dole. In the presidential debate, President Clinton went on about how he had created new jobs, many more jobs. He had cut the national deficit by over 50%, he said. He had enforced new laws. He had, in general, bettered the economy by a significant amount. Bob's Dole response was, "The economy is the worst it has been in over a century." Now, this was wildly inaccurate, and he gave no support. Now, this is a prime example of a logical fallacy known as appeal to the stone. And this is translated from the Latin argumentum ad lapidem, meaning to the stone ad lapidem. Appeal to the stone is a fallacy in which a person dismisses a statement as absurd, invalid, or incorrect, with no proof of its absurdity. An example of this would be somebody says smoking can cause many different types of cancer, and person B responds, "That's absurd, smoking doesn't cause cancer." That is an appeal to the stone statement. Now, I'm going to talk about how to respond to these types of statements, show that we've all encountered it in some way or another, and explain how to avoid using it ourselves. Understanding and knowing how to deal with appeal to the stone statements appropriately can make us better communicators, debaters, and negotiators. So let's talk about how to respond to these ad lapidem statements. Now, these ad lapidem statements are dismissive in nature, so providing more proof when somebody says that's ridiculous to something I said, providing more proof will likely also be dismissed. The best thing to do is call them out. Ask them, why is that ridiculous? Can you explain yourself? Now, the burden of proof lies on the user of this statement. So the person who said that is ridiculous now has to tell me why it is ridiculous. So all eyes are on him in a way. Now, if this was used intentionally, this statement, calling them out will make them seem ignorant and maybe even rude, and it will cause them to lose credibility in front of a crowd. If it was unintentional, the user may realize, I need to give more backup, I need to prove my point, and may fix the situation in a way. The best thing to do, especially in front of a group of people or a crowd, is to remain calm, diplomatically ask, can you go into further detail, sir? Now, we've all experienced this type of communication before, somebody using the appeal to the stone fallacy. Maybe it was a friend who disagreed with you. Maybe it's an argument that you witnessed between two people at the table next to yours. Maybe you've done it yourself without, outwardly being aware of it. Now, I'm sure we all know somebody who may do this regularly. Maybe it's just part of their personality to disagree with somebody, say, no, that's crazy, or no, that's absurd. For instance, if you are going out with your friend, you walk out of the house in January, and you walk out to 65-degree weather, and you had just heard something about global warming, and you say, well, they must be right about global warming. And somebody says, no, that's absurd. Global warming doesn't exist. That is an appeal to the stone statement, a very casual one, just between you and a friend, but it is an ad lapidem statement. And regardless of its intention, whether it was intentionally said or was it by accident, it fails to respond or address the merit of the claim. So it is fallacious. Now, we should avoid using these statements ourselves. And I want you to ask yourself, have I ever done this? You may not be aware of it. I think we've all done it. At some point in our lives, we have all used an ad lapidem statement, an appeal to the stone statement. And it is a fallacious statement. Ask yourselves, do I ignore people's claims sometimes without listening or considering the facts? Maybe by saying somebody says something, you say, "Yeah, right." That's in a way an ad lapidem statement. You're not providing enough proof as to why they're wrong. I know I've done this, especially if it's something or a topic that's significant to me. If somebody comes up to me and says something about cars, he says, even though this car A, has less horsepower than car B, it can utilize that power more efficiently and it is faster than car B. Well, if I love car B, if it's a car that I have known for a long time and I'm very passionate about and I know the statistics of, I might appeal to the stone. I might simply say, no, that's not true. That's false. It's absurd. And may not give sufficient evidence. What if somebody talks about religion? What if you believe in a God and somebody comes and says, hey, there's two gods, and you say, no, there isn't. That's false. Not providing proof is a fallacious statement. It is an appeal to the stone statement. So to wrap things up, let's recap. Appeal to the stone is a fallacy, a logical fallacy, in which somebody dismisses a statement as absurd, invalid, or incorrect without giving proof of its absurdity. And it is from the Latin argumentum ad lapidem. And these statements are fallacious. They fail to address the merits of the claim in dispute. It's simply saying, no, it doesn't, or that's nuts, that's crazy, without explaining yourself. Now, we've all encountered this. It's a difficult statement to argue with, a difficult state of mind to argue with, because the person you are talking to is being dismissive. But using it yourself can make you seem very ignorant. It can make you seem rude if it's intentional. So I think if we all learn how to deal with these appeal to the stone statements and avoid using it ourselves, we ourselves can be better communicators and better negotiators.